I'm Lynn, and welcome to my backyard. In my backyard, I'm building an aquapond. That's the integration of an aquaponics system with a fish pond. Those are two totally different systems, but I'm going to work it out so those two work together. In today's video, I want to focus on specifically the pond, just the pond without the aquaponics portion. What does a backyard pond consist of? What are the mechanics behind it, and how does it actually work? If you're not aware and you're not familiar with how a pond works, I want to really highlight that so when it comes to talking about the issues, you'll be able to see what I'm trying to work out and why. Let me show you basically what a pond looks like and how it works. This pond is outside of Nelson Water Gardens. I think it's a nice size to look at when considering a backyard pond. And it has a lot of the components that I want to point out. One of the main foci, is to filter the water for the fish. But if you have a beautiful pond, you really don't see that going on because all of the mechanics and the engineering is hidden. So if you look at this pond, it has a lot of plants actually in the pond itself. And that can be really great for the fish because not only is it pretty and not only does it clean the water for the fish, but it also provides some cover, some visual cover so that the birds that fly overhead don't necessarily see the fish and think, oh, look, dinner, an easy meal. And it can also shade the water from the sun. You can either have a mechanical filter or a bog. And I'll be building a bog, so I'm going to talk mainly about bogs. There are two types of bogs, basically a passive system and an active system. The passive system is basically kind of what it sounds like. The water just falls into the bog area and it filters its way hopefully through the rocks and the roots of the plants and then back out to the fish. And there's an active bog, which seems to be the preferred method by most pond enthusiasts, is because you force the water through a pipe. And I'll show examples of that a little later. And you force the water up through the roots and through the rocks. And that guarantees better movement. The water does not ever stagnate. You don't also clog up the pipes with the dirt that accumulates over time. But in this pond, the bog is in the back. It's here and it's separated from the actual fish pond. It's built up a little higher. And you can't see any of the mechanics behind here. You can't see the pump in the pond. You can't see the pipes in the bog, which makes it really a beautiful feature to look at. Now, the water returns back to the pond generally by a waterfall, and you can't see the waterfall in this picture. That waterfall also helps to aerate the water for the fish. Aeration is really important for the health of the fish. You don't just want to return the water and have it just kind of flow in it. You need to turn it. You need to see some air bubbles or some disturbance in the water. You can also buy a aeration system or an air pump. Usually that pump sits outside of the water and the hose feeds down to the bottom of the pond so that bubbles arise and oxygenates the water for the fish. That's another choice. I may actually put both in my system. It will depend. because the waterfall is going to be on kind of the opposite end of my bean or amoeba shape. In this photo of my pond, well, the before, on the right hand side will be the waterfall, and the pump will be on the left. You can see the outline of the pond by the rocks that I have here, and the inside, once I dig the grass out and the dirt out, the water, of course, will be in the middle. You really want that pump on the opposite end to help keep the water moving in the pond again. You don't want stagnation. It encourages movement in the water. In order to get the water out of the pond, you need the pump. And these pipes that I'm showing, it's just for demonstration. The pump will be at the bottom. Pipes are leading upward. The recommendation is to use 45-degree angles. So 45-degree angles just make it easier for the pump to work. And I'm using PVC pipes. 1, because it's inexpensive. 2, because it's easy to get at any hardware store. And I can cut these myself with a handsaw, and with a lot of the joints that they have in the hardware store, you can put it together in any configuration, any size that you want. The pipes will go up, be hidden behind and between the rocks in order to get to my bog. This is just an example of a rock that I will use to hide the pipes. This is an example to show what the pipe system can look like at the bottom of an active bog where you're forcing water through the pipes. You would have a long pipe down the middle of your bog, and then you put smaller pipes crossing it, and then you drill holes every so many inches in all of these pipes. The water's enforced through here so that it's carried through the entire system, whatever shape or size that you have. Then what goes on top is the medium. I've read and heard the best medium is to have pea gravel. It encourages bacteria. It has the right size and shape, which will allow water flow and not too much water flow, not too less of water flow. And then you plant the plants directly into the peat rocks. A couple of other tools that you'll need for a pond is a liner. If I just dug a hole in my backyard and filled it up with water, it would probably be gone in a couple of days because it would just leak into the earth. So you want to use a plastic liner. I am not going to actually put a drain at the bottom, which I have read often is recommended. It takes a lot more engineering in terms of digging out a pathway for the piping that goes to that. I don't have a huge pond, and I think that I can clean it and get water out via other methods. So I am not going to do that. But you might want to consider putting a drain with a drain out so you can pump out the water out of the pond in an emergency or in whatever cleaning mode you're in. I've seen also there are clean boxes or debris boxes, kind of like a skimmer in a swimming pool. You put that off to the side again. Because I'm doing this myself, I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to choose to clean the pond manually, like with the swimming pool filter kind of thing, and we'll see how that goes. I don't ever intend on draining the entire thing, but with the pump, if I need to remove water, say in a bad storm or a flood, I can use the pump to actually pump the water out. I just will divert it from the aquaponics in the bog portion and return it when whatever level of water that's wanted is removed. The last thing to consider for a backyard pond is electricity and how you will actually reach electricity. The pump, I guess you could connect it to a solar system or a wind system, or if you have some other type of alternative energy source, but most people will be using electricity. So, it's one thing to have an electric cord to your pump plugged up into a wall socket, but in order to be safe, you should really get an electrician to come out and put in a GFCI plug. Consider where you want that placed. Different pumps come with different cord lengths. So I think the pump that I bought is 16 feet. So that gives me a pretty good range. Probably going to do a few more things in the backyard which might require electricity. So we'll probably place the electricity GFCI plug behind the Aquaponics 50-gallon horse troughs on that side. I hope you enjoyed this video. It is the basics of a pond. See the design video where I discuss in detail the issues between aquaponics and a pond with a bog and how I resolved them. Hit like, subscribe, and the bell to get notifications and see the progress as I continue to build out the AquaPond. Thank you for watching.